So hey guys, we are back with another video, and in this video we are going to discuss about the latest paper from Kohe. I think this paper was released a month back, but a lot of people have not discussed about this paper. The paper name is One Tokenizer to Rule Them All. Now they talk about this multilingual plasticity of tokenizers, right? Where they are trying to prove the concept of these tokenizers working on some specific languages or not, and not able to give you that high accuracy. But when we have one tokenizer which is ruled on multiple set of languages, let's say 70 75 languages, you will see when a new set of a new language is provided to the tokenizer, it is performing better compared to other tokenizers. Now, according to their abstract, what they propose is, in this work we study the relative cheap interventions early in the training to improve language plasticity on adaptation capabilities of the model post training to new languages, right? Now, our systematic experiments across diverse group of languages, which include a lot of indie languages also, and different training strategies show that a universal tokenizer enables significant higher language adaptation. Now, the number which they propose in the abstract is 20.2%, which is a very big number, right? In win rates compared to tokenizers specific to pre-training languages. Okay. Now, furthermore, a universal tokenizer also leads to better plasticity towards languages that are completely unseen in tokenizer and pre-training by up to 5% win rate gain. Okay, this looks really promising because I worked on Komodo, right? A model which was made specifically for Indonesian languages, and what we realized is that when we train it on around 11 to 12 Indonesian languages, on the 13th one, which was not shown to it before, it was the understanding of the model to that language was pretty much much better than the one which was trained only on general languages like English, Spanish, French, not on Indonesian specific languages. That is just one thing, right? A lot of other things are in the paper too. So let's look at what they have tried to do. Okay, looking at the word multilingual plasticity, what is it? So they are trying to say this represents the capability of the language model to quickly adapt to lingual distribution shift to downstream target. Now, in this case, they are involving a new set of focus languages. Given that pre-training requires the bulk of compute and cost reduction, and intervention made at this stage that improves the plasticity for downstream developers and researchers is beneficial. Obviously, now in this work they have proposed whatever. We can ask, can we leverage tokenizer with broad language coverage to improve the plasticity of LLMs without hurting pre-training performance? This is the question, right? Now, the first chart, if you look, the universal tokenizer is exhibiting 2 times the higher plasticity with 8 times faster adaptation compared to the cluster specific baseline tokenizer. Okay, now in this graph it's pretty much visible that it's almost double if you look at this, and it's 8 times faster. So let's look at the experimental setup. I think that will be much better. So they have some models which are trained on a mixture of English code and multilingual corpora, right? Their weights are distributed as 55, 15 and 30, which looks fine. I think they looks fine. Now, upweighting English and multilingual is a common practice due to high task coverage. I think almost every company right now who has these models available to through APIs and which are open source like DeepSeek R1, or you can say OpenAI GPT 4.1, Gemini 2.5 Pro, Claude 4 Sonnet. All these companies have this bias towards English more than other languages because of very obvious reasons, the usability, and then they talk about which is crucial for cross-lingual transfer because of English being a language in center. Okay. We'll also include code data as it become a standard part of the training recipe, even for natural languages model, because it has been found to boost performance on other tasks included in pre-training. I think this is very normal to people who have studied algorithms in general. That why it helps. Now they use a large corpus of data from a variety of public and proprietary sources. Proprietary sources, I think it's very easy to say nowadays, but a lot of conferences won't accept that, right? Anyways, that was not related to this paper. For models we pre-train with universal tokenizer, we reallocate 5% of training mixture from English data and uniformly distribute among all the expanded languages. Okay, now this looks interesting, right? However, in section 5.4, we tell that this percentage and show that even no expanded language subset is included in pre-training, the universal tokenizer significantly improves multilingual plasticity. So from the very start, they are putting this whole perspective and point, right? That obviously when you train a model on a huge subset of language, 70 languages, let's say, instead of very specific 5-10 languages. And even if those 70 languages consist, I personally think, less data than the 5 specific languages, it is going to perform better on the languages it has not seen. And if you think it from human brain perspective also, it makes sense, right? Now, for continued pre-training, use cool down data, makes sense. Training details for experiments as standard for most of the LLMs. We use transformer decoder architecture, makes sense. Now, they have used 3.3 billion parameter model on NVIDIA H100 GPUs, which take 11 hours. Cool, makes sense. Now, tokenizer training. This is important, right? In addition to this, with some trained on universal and cluster languages, we also invest in methodology that is just a weights based upon availability of data. Okay, because I am pretty sure that the distribution of languages won't be same. For some language you will have really good data available, for some languages you won't. Like in India, I'm pretty sure for maybe Hindi and Hindi languages like Telugu, Tamil, you will find a lot of data available in public. But maybe for languages like Mathli, you will find not that much data available in public, which is in good quality, right? Now, for vocabulary size, they have used a size of 250k tokens in our experiment. However, in 5.3, we explored that this vocabulary size impacts performances for both universal as well as cluster tokenizer. Okay, they have tried with 100k, 775k, and 250k to understand the impact. And for evaluation, they uses this open-ended evaluation that generative tasks are more informative than classification in evaluating tokenizer. I think I'll let you guys read it. These are task-specific performance on multilingual evaluations and multiple choice question, machine reading comprehension, MRC dataset, which we'll see. And English only evaluation is also there to check how good it is performing there. Okay, cool. Let's look at a result on the pre-training performance. Now, the section findings, let's focus on these. Pre-training with universal tokenizer produces well-rounded models with competitive results on a variety of tasks for primary languages, differing from the cluster one by no more than 0.5% accuracy across all the tasks. But the second point, our specialized tokenizer weighting that uses language buckets to balance the data availability leads to better performance to 2.8 accuracy as measured in a Euro cluster model. I think we can look at this. Okay, the clusters are European. Here the primary languages is on which it is done, the English task, MMLU and Bellable. Asian is also there, Middle East and Indic are also there, right? Now, comparison of cluster versus this whole thing, right? They are trying to show the cluster versus universal tokenizer during the pre-trained task. There are 3 regional cluster, right? One is Middle Eastern Indic, one is Asian, and the third one is European. Now, performance with the universal tokenizer is comparable to cluster across all geo clusters. Now, let's look at the results. Okay, this Bell dataset, right? When used for pre-training on Euro cluster in tokenizer training, we use all languages, 67 languages in primary and in expanded subset, and only vary the language weighting. It's fine. Universal tokenizer with balanced weighting using languages buckets outperforms uniform weighting in 21 European languages out of 27. With a 2.2% relative gain. Look at this, guys. Isn't this incredible, right? Looking at uniform and universal, you will see majority of them, right? All these languages, if you look at them, almost in all of them, it is outperforming. In few, if you look at this one, you will see there is some UKR, I think this is the Ukrainian one. And average, if you will see, there is a slight of 1% improvement. 1%. Doesn't matter a lot, but in most of the cases, you will see. So this matters because for companies who are targeting users from some specific areas where the language data is not available that much, this can help. Even if 5-10% increase will matter a lot, right? Let's go to the other page. Okay, cool. Now, win rates after continued pre-training, right? Here also you'll see a 19% increase. Okay, on the primary and expanded, you'll see 42.8. On expanded, the universal tokenizer matches cluster performance on primary languages and shows large gains, 19.99 on average of expanded languages subset across all clusters. Isn't this good? Similarly, win rates on expanded languages after targeted adaptation, the universal tokenizer shows better performance by 17.8%. A very big result, right? 17 point. So this balanced language weighting with language bucket for tokenizer training leads to better pre-training performance. Okay, this is directly. And now looking at results on enhanced multilingual plasticity. So this benefits of this plasticity, right, which they are trying to explain. So this leads to higher plasticity over the cluster specific, as we have already seen in continued pre-training. So with an average increase in a win rate of 18.9. For people who don't know what is continual pre-training, till a point you have already pre-trained a model, you can pick from that point. You can pre-train it more on the new expanded data and languages. The universal tokenizer enables adaptation boost with no drop in primary language compared to cluster tokenizer. Looks good. Now these models which are trained with the universal tokenizer, right, they demonstrate significant higher win rates on expanded subset. That is, I think, we all were expecting. We already saw, right? I think we saw in figure 2. Where is the figure 2? And yeah, here is the table 2. And I think we were seeing here figure 2, right? We saw win rates for models with universal and tokenizer against dolly generations. Here you can clearly see the results, right? If I zoom in, you'll see the cluster of okay, yeah. Now if you see here, right, the cluster, now in almost all languages you will see that the universal tokenizer is performing better than the cluster one. Now this is a very big finding, right? For people who have been working in this domain, think it's a very big finding. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now if you look at the language specific results after targeted adaptation through the supervised fine tuning for the Euro cluster model to expanded languages and fully unseen languages, guys, in the fully unseen languages you will see the win rate. Just okay, let's look at the expanded languages, okay, the one which were you pre-trained after that. In almost all the languages you will find universal tokenizer performing much better. For the fully unseen languages, you will see the win rate to be 19% versus 16%, 14% versus 9%. 3 to 4% always increases there. Now you can say, can this be increased? Maybe there are some techniques to increase it, but just remember this thing. These are fully unseen languages. The model has no clue of what these languages are before. So on the new languages, you will see which have not, the model has not been trained on. The universal tokenizer, because of its learning of so many diverse languages across the subsets with some balanced weights which can differ from the cluster one, you will see the understanding of the model of a language itself, right, is much better. Okay, the universal tokenizer outperforms cluster tokenizer by high margins in targeted adaptation for expanded language set. Okay, so universal token is helping a lot. Now for people who were thrilled from the title, right, that one tokenizer to rule them all. From the Lord of the Rings we have this title, right, one ring to rule them all, because that one tokenizer is now controlling all the subset tokenizers, because those that uniform tokenizer was trained for those specific cluster of languages, but on maybe high data set, but because this universal tokenizer is able to perform even better for expanded languages as well as fully unseen languages, we can say for sure that the more languages you keep, the more data for the new languages you keep for a more set of languages, the better the tokenizer can perform on the unseen as well as the expanded set of languages, right? This is the assumption, or you can say hypothesis, they put in the starting of the paper, and they have proved it, right? Now primary languages, again, win rates after continued pre-training, comparing cross-lingual vocabulary adaptation. Same thing, guys. I'll leave this part to you. You guys can go and read this. Okay, this key discussion comparison with cross-lingual vocabulary adaptation. I'll leave this to you, because if I start telling every single thing, the video will become more than 20 minutes, and I don't want that to happen right now. Now, related what people have already worked on multilingual tokenizer. One tokenizer I also worked on, I think a year back, that was for Komodo 7 billion. For Indonesian 11 to 12 languages we were targeting. Now some limitations, right? Was what they are talking about. Our experiments involve 69 languages, covering a diverse range of languages. But although we use a list of languages, there are many more languages in the world which require attention of research community, which is very important. I also personally feel the same. The reason we worked on Komodo. In this work, we focused on only byte pair encoding algorithm for tokenizer training. For people who don't know, there are several algorithms present. The sentence piece is one of the tokenizer where you can start with. And this byte pair encoding, right? This the BPE algorithm for tokenizer training, which is the most widely used method for language models. It's very famous. The choice was dictated by the high computational cost of each ablation, right, which required significant compute resources. However, we believe finding out would apply to other tokenizers such as unigram tokenizer, byte or character level tokenization. We leave this exploration to future research. Okay. Now model size. All our pre-training experiments were conducted on a 3.3 billion parameter with a 100 billion token budget. What I personally feel is because these tokenizer were because this model was already very small, maybe on a 7 billion model or 13 billion model, we can definitely find even good findings, right? So why not test on them? So because this resource competition is obviously a problem for a lot of companies, so that completely makes sense, because pre-training a model so many times, continual pre-training with these tokenizer, different set of languages, because they already had 3 clusters, then a universal tokenizer. So it is obviously very cost effective for a company to do these things. You need to spend a lot of money on GPUs and computation resources, which I can relate to. So yeah, now this paper itself presents a new domain for people who are working on multilinguality as a part of these multi-models and large language models. So I'll try to work on this particular tokenizer thing for my personal projects, and I'll let you guys know what some results come up to. Okay. So yeah, guys, that was it for the video. If you like the video, I'll appreciate if you can give this a like, and put down your thoughts on what this one tokenizer to rule them all opens for the for AI community, right? And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing it for upcoming research videos and something new which I'm planning in the future. So thank you for watching the video, guys. Thank you, and have a nice day.